What's up, guys? So this video is going to be slightly more than just a review. I will be talking about the Mass Effect 3 Omega DLC that was released not long ago. When was it released? The 27th, something like that, of last month. I did a full Let's Play of it, and I have 10 parts of it, and they're all about 20 minutes long, give or take. The last one's like maybe 30. So that means that it's probably just over 3 hours that I took to play it. So 3-4 hours, something like that. I've got a few issues, good and bad, like I said. It's pretty much about Aria. Aria taking back Omega. In the Invasion comics, if you guys never read those in comics, I do have videos where I talk about what happened in those comics and the storyline, and which I'll put in annotations, or I'll just put the link in the description. In the comics, Aria loses Omega, her power over Omega, to Cerberus. So Aria leaves Omega and she doesn't come back because she's like, I'm gonna come back with a freaking army, or Shepard in this case, and take back my house. So she's pretty pissed, especially if you know the personality that Aria has. If you don't screw with Aria and you keep, if you do things for her and you're nice to her or whatever, or if you follow the rules or the rule, she's cool with you. She's fair. But if you screw her over or if you double cross her, she's gonna freaking want blood. Like, she goes out to freaking kill you. So don't mess with her. Is pretty much her only rule. Other than that, she's all good. One thing is to mess with Aria, and another thing is to take Omega away from her. Like, that's probably the worst thing that you could have done. Omega is her baby. She is Omega. So I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be so good. The comic really showed her power and the power that she has, which is really, really cool. So I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be so good, this DLC, because we're gonna finally be able to see Aria in action in the game, and you're gonna have her on your team and all that. You don't have your regular squad, which is all right, whatever. I didn't really care. It would have been nice to see the interactions between Aria and specific characters on your team, but I didn't really care. I was like, whatever, I have freaking Aria on my team. And then, of course, the new character, Nyreen, the female Turian. She's also a biotic. Actually, she's a sentinel because she has biotic and tech powers. And I thought she was really cool as well. I really liked her. She has a past with Aria. I won't go too much into detail. She is not on your team for very long, though. I mean, every spurts she's on your team. She has a role to play on Omega. And she can't really be on your team the whole time. So she has to be coming and going, which was kind of a bummer, because I was like, man, the first female Turian, she's a biotic. She's pretty cool, and she's not really in it. She's in it, but not that much. What I did like was that how they portrayed her, because she was strong, but at the same time she was scared. Like, she had this fear in her because of what she had gone through, and the adjutants were the ones that freaking terrified her, which was so cool. I really loved that about her, because you don't see that very often with characters where they're scared of a specific enemy. And they react to that. And there was this moment that I absolutely loved. It was one of my favorite moments in the whole DLC, was when you're I'm not gonna go too much into detail, like I said, but you're pretty much walking in this area that's all dark, and you've got this flashlight. That's all it's all dark, and all you could hear is like breathing of the adjutant, and you're just like, oh my god, where is it? Where is it? You don't know where it is, and you're with Aria and Nyreen. Once the adjutant finally comes out, there's a cinematic, and you could see Nyreen like falter. Aria and Shepard bring their guns up to shoot the adjutant, and Nyreen freezes. She's just like, she has no idea what to do. And Aria tells her, wake up. She's like, wake up, Nyreen. And then she lifts up her gun, and I thought that was so cool. I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. I love those little details where they add this sense of like a realistic aspect to the character, where you're just like, man, how come they never get scared? Like, how come you never see them scared, kind of thing, you know? So Mass Effect 3 added a little bit more of that, like you know, Shepard kind of being worried and that kind of thing. And I love to see that in characters. So I thought that was so cool with Nyreen, that they added that sense of fear for this specific enemy. But for everything else, she was like hardcore. But for the adjutant, she faltered and she froze, and she was just like, oh my God, you know, this thing is freaking terrifying, and I've seen it do so many things. And she's just like, she was traumatized because of everything that she's gone through. I don't want to ruin it for a lot of you, because I know a lot of you were waiting to see what I thought, to see if you were going to get the DLC or not. I can't talk about this and not mention the price. It was 1,200 Microsoft points, and for what happened in the DLC, for the size of it, and for everything that you got to experience, and for things that you got physically, like say guns or whatever, 1,200 Microsoft points is a lot for that, for what you experienced. Now, BioWare had been promoting this, saying that it was going to be the biggest DLC that they've ever done in length. And I was like, it was probably about the same size as Lair of the Shadow Broker. I didn't see the difference in size. I was expecting something big, because that's how they were saying. They were like, this is the biggest DLC, you know, for Mass Effect ever. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be way longer than Shadow Broker. This is going to be, you're going to get like a bunch of missions. You're probably going to get a character or new characters, armor, guns, all this stuff. But no, you didn't get any of that. You may have gotten like a few upgrades that were pretty cool for your guns. I think it was just one new weapon. I had new weapons, but because I got the weapons pack that came out before the DLC, but you had to pay for that. So I was like, why didn't they add these new weapons that you had to pay for in the DLC, in Omega? Why couldn't they just give you that? That would have been more things to make the price explainable, where you're like, okay, I got freaking 3 or 4 new weapons. But they only gave you one new weapon in the DLC that I could remember. I think it was an assault rifle. And new upgrades. And that was pretty much it. No armor, nothing. And there was, you know, Arya, she was on your team for a little bit, and Nyreen was a new character. But they did something with Nyreen that I was like, why'd they do that? It just didn't make sense to me. It wasn't a way for me, and for a lot of people that I've seen in the comments and all that, they're pretty pissed off what happened. What I think BioWare should have done to make this like, to make this almost feel like it was cheap, the price, where you're like, dude, it is so worth it. They should have treated it like the Kasumi DLC. They should have treated it like that. It's not hard for them to do. They did it in Mass Effect 2. They could have done it in Mass Effect 3. They could have, and they should have. Nobody would have. I don't think anybody would have. Or at least they wouldn't even have the reason to. If people were to still complain about it, it'd be like, dude, shut up. You got a new character out of that. They should have made Nyreen a character that you get into your team. They should have made Nyreen. Some people were like, oh, why couldn't Arya stay in your team? Obviously, she couldn't. They have to have her in Omega or whatever. They can't put her on your team because she's a character that is needed elsewhere. But Nyreen, you could have kept Nyreen. I was like, dude, that was a blown opportunity. It would have made this DLC so worthwhile. I would have told everybody, go out and get Omega, because you get this awesome new character, a freaking female Turian biotic. But they decided to do something else with her that really wasn't, like I said, again, in my opinion, that wasn't worthy of that character, especially because of how unique she was given the previous games of Mass Effect. They should have treated it like the Kasumi DLC, where you do a mission and you get a character out of it. I love Kasumi. I'm so glad that we got Kasumi for Mass Effect 2. And it wasn't that hard to do. I mean, freaking A, like, come on. Why was it so hard for them to do that with Nyreen? Did they not think about that? It would have been worth it, the price that you pay. I would have been so happy. I would have been, oh my God, so many people would have been so appreciative for that, to have a new character, especially given the type of character that it was, where you're just like, how could you let that go? As fun as this DLC was, because I think that's what it is. It was fun. I can't say that it was so good. Oh my God, it was so good. Still, my favorite DLC for a Mass Effect game, out of all of them, is Overlord. And a lot of people are surprised because I know a lot of people love the Lair of the Shadow Broker. Mine is Overlord. And the reason why I love Overlord is because there was so much depth to that DLC. So much emotion. I freaking cried in that DLC. The music, oh my God. It introduced two of my favorite songs in Mass Effect. That song, that brother song, I forgot, it's got the word brother in the title. The one where the two brothers finally meet each other and you see what is happening to this guy. The guy that's merged with the Geth technology. That song, oh my God, that song is so good. That's one of the reasons why I love Overlord. It had everything. It had a little bit of everything. Mostly the story. I love that. And it really had that moment where I was like, oh my God, where you get separated from your team towards the end of the DLC. You get separated from your team and they're like, oh my God, the doors close. And they're just like pounding on the doors and you're just like, and then Shepard just goes into this crazy virtual reality. Oh man, that was so good. I love that DLC. So as much as I love Aria, this DLC doesn't even touch the awesomeness of Overlord. And of course, not even Shadow Broker, because Shadow Broker is really good too. It was fun, and it was cool to see Aria in a different light. It was cool, but I can't say that it was great. I can't say, oh my God, this DLC was so good. Leviathan was so much better. Leviathan had so much more meaning. It had so much more depth. It added so much to the game. With Omega, I'm just like, well, for you Aria fans, for you guys that love Aria, get it. Yeah, it's 1,200 Microsoft points, but it's kind of worth you seeing that side to Aria because we've never really seen it. But for you guys that don't really like Aria, where you're just like, all right, she's okay, probably don't get it because it's really expensive for what you got. And another thing that really, this pissed me off, was the quality of it. The quality of the DLC. It literally felt like a demo. It had the quality of a demo. Not only glitches with cinematics and all that stuff, but glitches in the gameplay, which pissed me off. A lot of people were like, oh, you can't use your power because of the cooldown. But that's not true. Because if you look at my Let's Play, I check right before, when I'm trying to use Incinerate, I press it like 20 times after I cloaked, but I waited the cooldown. And when I try to use Incinerate, I looked at my power wheel and it was available. It wasn't cooling down, it was available. I have proof of that, and I still couldn't use it. And a lot of people told me that same thing. They were like, oh yeah, I had problem using my powers as well. So there was problems in the gameplay, or glitches in the gameplay, glitches in the cinematics, and there was no new music. None. I was like, dude, almost every DLC adds at least one new song. They didn't even add the previous songs. I was like, okay, maybe Sam Hulick was busy. Maybe he didn't want to do it. He was sick. I don't care. Why can't you just recycle one of the songs that you guys already have? No, they left moments, huge moments. This has never happened in Mass Effect unless it's done on purpose. Like that scene where you're going and looking for the adjutant, there was no music. And I was like, this is awesome. It sounds perfect. No music, all you could hear is just the breathing and your footsteps, and that's cool. But you could tell that these scenes were supposed to be, there was supposed to be background music, but it wasn't. And since the background music wasn't there, the characters' voices sounded echoey, like in a demo, where they're like, oh, okay, right now it's very choppy right now because it's the demo. We haven't added any music. We haven't added any sound effects. So it's, you've pretty much just got the dialogue. If you've played demos before, the dialogue sounds exactly like it sounds in Omega. It sounds like they're in an echo, like a hi people, I am Arya. And she's pretty much just talking to Nyreen, who's right here. And it's just like, what happened to her voice? I picked that up in my Let's Play, and I'm just like cracking up. Because every now and then, Arya sounds like all of a sudden she entered a cathedral. And the end is where you could really spot it, and it really ruins it. That there was no music, no sound effects. I thought something was wrong with my game. I was like, is this a glitch? And did something happen to my game? Like, I thought it was just me, because I couldn't believe that BioWare had left it like this. I was like, there's no way. It's got to be just me. If you go and look in my Let's Play, if you just watch that ending, that last part, it's completely silent. I thought something was wrong. Like, it showed a crowd of people like moving around and talking, and there was no noise. No noise at all. It wasn't just with Arya. Like, I was like, okay, maybe it could have been for like done on purpose, where they just wanted Arya to be talking to you, and it's like, oh, it's all dramatic, there's no noise, it's all silent, whatever. But even when it showed the crowds of people, I was like, what the? You could even see me go, hello? Where I was just like, what happened? Did I just lower the volume or what? It looked so bad. It looked so tacky. It was like a demo. Why didn't they add at least sound effects? That moment would have been so epic if they had added some music in the background. It's at least where Arya's giving her speech, where she finally takes back Omega, and that's not a spoiler. Obviously, she takes back Omega. And she's talking to them, to Omega, at the end, through the televisions and all that. That scene, and Shepard's just walking away, that scene would have been epic with some music. Some of that brilliant music of Sam Helix. Like some, victory music that he's got. He's got so many of that in Mass Effect. Why not use one of those? That would have been so cool. It would have been so perfect for Arya. It would have been like, yes, she freaking took it back, and like, oh man, that would have been so good. It would have been so satisfying. I would have been so happy for Arya. But no, I was like, what the hell's going on? Is this wrong? Did I lower the what? My stupid game glitched. That's how BioWare left it. And I was like, I hate to say this again, but they rushed it again. They freaking rushed it. Why do they have to get out so many DLCs at a specific time where they're just like, freaking let it out? I don't care. It's not done. Who cares? Just release the damn demo. I really didn't want to talk bad about this DLC because I loved it and I had fun with it. You could tell in my Let's Play. But there was so many things that just made me kind of, I don't know, like feel ashamed. Where I'm just like, why didn't they put more effort into this? No DLC in Mass Effect 2 was like this. None of them. They were all great. They all felt like pieces of the game. It wasn't like, am I playing a demo? What the hell? What? Not even Leviathan. Leviathan was good. I didn't see any of this stuff. But Omega was like, finish it as fast as you can and just release it. You've got this release date. The 27th of freaking November. That's the freaking day. And they freaking put it like, that's your damn day that you gotta finish that thing. And it seems like they got to that day and they're like, wait, we haven't put the soundtrack on it. I don't give a damn. put it out. When it comes to the glitches, a lot of enemies would just sit there and not do anything. They just sit there. Like, in a firefight. Like, everybody's attacking you except for some fool over there that's just like... And you're just like, what the hell? What's that guy doing over there? Is he like, I don't know, observing everything? Or is he like... Is he an observer? Are you guys getting tested for this? And then if I were to sabotage or dominate somebody, sometimes they just sit there too. Is this what I dominated you for? To just sit there and look at me? No. Now let me talk a little bit about my decisions. I'm not going to go too much in depth, but the decisions that I made, there were some decisions that you could make. Of course, like any Mass Effect DLC game, whatever, either Renegade or Paragon. And there were some pretty hard decisions where you're just like, oh my god. A lot of you know that my Shepard is a Paragade, which is slightly more Paragon, but still Renegade. I think my bars are like kind of like that. But I don't pay attention to Renegade or Paragon. I don't. I just go by... That's why he's a Paragade. Not because I wanted a Paragade, but because that's what turned out. I just do what I feel my Shepard will do. I explained this to some people. Some people were like, why are you just doing Renegade? Or why are you just appealing to Arya? Because I was fangirling for Arya. And I was like, oh my god, I want Arya to like me. But in all honesty, when I play my Shepard, if I do something, if I make a choice that I feel that my Shepard wouldn't do, I always reload. I'm always like, no, screw that. I'm going to go back and I'm going to reload and I'm going to do that again. And I'm going to do it so that fits my Shepard. I do that all the time. Because sometimes I'm like, oh man, I didn't want to do that. He would never do that. So I reload and I'm just like, I don't want my Shepard to do something that he wouldn't do. And my Shepard is a spacer ruthless. So if I can't make him ruthless, why the hell did I make him ruthless? He's not a Renegade, but he's not a Paragon where he's like, oh, he's prepared to do what he needs to. In order to get something done. And he looks at the priority of the things where he's like, okay, what's my outcome here and what's my outcome over here? Is there risks involved here or is there risks involved over here? He doesn't look at what's easier. He looks at what's more efficient and what gets the most, the priority done. So yeah, a lot of people if you guys have saw the options that I had, or the options that I took in bringing down the sky, the Mass Effect 1 DLC, I felt so bad after that. But yeah, I sacrificed some innocence and I felt horrible, but it was what my Shepard would have done because he doesn't trust some people. And he's like, you're lying to me. I'm not going to trust you. I'm going to do what I think should be done because if I trust you, it might not work. There's too many ifs, there's too many buts, there's too many what if it doesn't work, that kind of thing. So I write my character. I don't play my character as myself. I write my character as Shepard. I guess it's just a tendency of mine because I love to create characters. But yeah, a lot of people tell me that they play their Shepard as themselves. And I'm like, cool. That's cool. I don't play my Shepard as myself. I play my Shepard as a Shepard that I wrote. So a lot of times I have to make decisions that he would do, but that I wouldn't. And it makes me feel horrible, where I'm just like, ah. And that happened in this DLC. So yeah, I just wanted to explain that it wasn't because I was fangirling for Arya. It's pretty much, even if I hated Arya, he would have done the same decisions. The last thing that I really wanted to talk about, because a lot of people got this wrong, they got the wrong interpretation of it, because they keep on telling me, I'm not gonna like treat it as a spoiler, because I'm not gonna go into details, but it's something that I think everybody should already know, so that they don't confuse this scene. After this DLC, a lot of people think that Arya is an Ardak Yakshi. She's not. There's a few reasons why she's not an Ardak Yakshi. Main reason is Ardak Yakshis are sterile. They cannot have offspring. Arya had a daughter. Her name is Lyselle, or her name was Lyselle. Arya is not sterile. Another reason is Ardak Yakshi's partners, if an Ardak Yakshi has a partner, that partner is probably going to be dead by the time that Asari is done with her, or him. Ardak Yakshis are not in long-term relationships. They don't have relationships. They have victims. We know that Arya has been in relationships. I won't go into details, but you do know this after this DLC. That person would have been dead if she was an Ardak Yakshi. The whole thing where Asari's eyes turn black and everything else goes black, that doesn't mean that they're Ardak Yakshis. That means that they're merging their mind with the subjects, their mind and their nervous system. Remember in Mass Effect 3 where Liara merges her mind and her mind with Shepard's, and not in a you don't have to be her romance for it. It's just she's giving you a gift. She's giving you the ability to be able to see in her mind, to share that with you. That's what Arya ended up doing, but in a very distorted way. It wasn't a gift like Liara did it. It was a very distorted and like creepy way of adding to her pleasure for whatever she was doing in that moment, which I won't go into. Where she's just like, oh yeah, you want to look into my mind? Come here. I'm trying not to go into details, so, but yeah, I hope that I'm pretty sure that should explain the motivations behind that. So again, when it comes to whether I were to recommend it, if you're a huge Arya fan, play it. If you're a huge Arya fan, like me, where you're just like, oh my god, Arya! Ah, she's one of my favorite characters. Then yeah, I'd say play it. It's cool. It's cool to see that side to Arya. You get so many like freaking moments where you're just like, oh my god, that was so cool. Ah! If you're not crazy about Arya and you're just like, yeah, she's cool, whatever, I would probably say wait until it drops in price, because it will drop eventually. It will. Almost all DLCs do. Maybe wait, because it's not worth the price. And not just because of what's offered in the DLC or because of how long it was, but because of the quality of it. The quality it wasn't very good. It suffered in many areas. In many areas it was perfect, but in moments where it was supposed to really matter, or moments where that were supposed to be pretty strong, they ruined it. The quality sucked, and you were just like, what's going on? This is just my opinion. And you guys know it's my honest opinion. You know how much I love Arya. I would love to say, everybody go out and get it. It's so cool. But it's just the price. I know that a lot of people can't, be spending money like that. If you are tight on money, don't spend it on that. Do not spend it on that. At least not yet, until it drops price, because it's not worth 1,200 Microsoft points. And a lot of people are saying this, and not because a lot of people are saying it just because they want to whine about it. But I'm being absolutely honest here. Like I said, you know how much I love Mass Effect, how much I love Arya. I really don't want to say that it's not worth the money, but it's not. In this case, it's not. It's way overpriced for what you get. If it's like 400 Microsoft, then get it like that. 800 Microsoft points, I recommend it. But 1,200, yikes. That was, I don't know what BioWare was thinking, especially because they were saying it was the biggest DLC they've done, and I'm just like, really? No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It seriously wasn't. It feels like Shadow Broker is still the biggest one. This one almost feels like it's smaller than Leviathan. Not so much the length, but because of what was in it. Leviathan felt heavier in content than this one. Is worth watching a Let's Play of. It is worth watching. It is. If you can't afford it, like I said, what would have made it absolutely worth it was if you got an Irene out of it as a team member, kind of like the Kasumi DLC. They really have to hire me. You know that whole take back BioWare and like save BioWare? I'm your salvation, BioWare. Call me. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.